Hey guys, welcome to Tech Talk Tuesdays. We're excited to have you with us today to continue our discussion on access control. And today we're going to be talking about electrified hardware.
Yeah, there's a number of different options that you guys have available to you as a customer, an end user, or a business owner, whatever category you might be in. Electrified hardware is a very important key component of your access control system. So it's a good idea to research these things very thoroughly and understand them, because if you choose the wrong door hardware and it doesn't meet all your specific needs, it could be a nightmare.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So also, let's go into this. Let's talk about a couple different options. The options that I think that we need to focus on are those that are readily available to every access control vendor, door hardware manufacturer, supplier, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And those that might be most commonly used for a retrofit application or a new install.
Yeah. And so, I mean, one that comes to mind to me is the electromechanical locks, mortise or cylindrical locks.
All right, I think we might have a picture of that in here, and that's that first one, and we'll throw this up on the screen so you guys can see it. But it's just a electric lock. It has a set of wires. It has a solenoid that's built in. This set of wires here goes in. There's a solenoid, and it's triggered by your access control system. You know, whatever that might be. And the way that this works is it's prepped in the door like a regular lock, but through the edge of the door, either from an electric hinge or what we call an EPT, electronic power transfer, there's a raceway drilled in through the door to the electric lock that supplies the lock with power. So that's the first option. What's another one, Austin?
Well, I think the thing that's the most common in the access control industry would be a maglock.
Yeah, so let's look at that. So a maglock. Any of you guys out there in with businesses or schools, you've probably seen a aluminum storefront door or some type of door, especially if you've worked around hospitals or schools for any length of time, that has a maglock on it. A maglock has a very specific intended purpose, but maglocks, you know, are not always the best option to go, even though they're usually the cheapest option for an electromechanical system or an access control system, because you can get a maglock installed for a few $100, and but there's a few caveats with them. Why don't you tell us about those?
So guys, you always want to make sure that you're following your local jurisdiction's codes and standards on maglocks, because they do require other things. You know, they require sometimes a PIR sensor or a request to exit switch tying into the fire alarm. These are some big things that you want to make sure you have done.
And right here in the Panhandle of Florida, we understand that our local fire code states very clearly that you have to have two means of egress to exit and to even utilize a maglock. There are very specific extenuating circumstances, but in those circumstances, they always have to be tied into a fire alarm if they're going to be used with not two means of egress. And so you might say, well, what's two means of egress? A PIR sensor, as Austin mentioned, a sensor that you walk up to the door and it opens, could be one. A push button request to exit switch could be another, and a number of different things. But just bear that in mind when you are choosing a maglock. Make sure it works for you.
And you know, there's pros and cons to maglocks, of course. One of them being your power goes out and you don't have it on battery backup,
your door's unlocked.
Your door's unlocked, your door's open.
So, you know, another con in my mind would be the fact that you lose all control with a key. Your lock on your door, whether it's a aluminum storefront, whether it's a panic bar, it doesn't matter. Your lock no longer functions the way that it's intended.
And if you ever wanted to put another kind of locking hardware or something on that door, then you have a bunch of holes left over once you take that down. Yeah,
but just be mindful that there are very specific things that you would use these for.
Yeah.
So what's the next one?
The next one we can do is electric strikes, and we have one here on the screen. This is for your mortise lock or cylindrical lock, and then we also have one here on the table that's for a panic device here. These are two of your most common electric strikes that you have, and the great thing about these is that they're easy retrofit. People also use them in new construction. Power goes out, depending on how you have it set, your door is still going to be secured, or if you have it fail safe, then your door will be, you know,
So it could be fail safe or fail secure. So, and that's a good option. And that it's going to allow you to have a little bit more versatility. And like Austin said, it's a good retrofit application. You don't necessarily want to be cutting an electric strike into an exterior building, a cylindrical style strike, if your door frames are poured.
Oh yeah.
Because it could be a nightmare, but it can be done. So in some instances, this is the best way to go. Let's talk about another one.
All right. This one would be a electrified exit device. So right here, if you look right here, we have just a standard panic bar. And then right here, we've got the motorized latch retraction right here that this device comes with. Basically what it is, meaning that when you swipe your badge or when you activate the system, it's going to pull that bar in electrically so that you can be able to gain access to your building, and then you don't have any extra other than having a wire run and maybe an electric hinge. You're not going to have anything extra on the door. That's awesome.
So an electrified panic would meet your needs when it comes to, there's a couple different variations, electrified panics. Yeah. So you have electric latch retraction, what you saw there, and you also have electrified trim. And they both have their own set of pros and cons, but just research it thoroughly. Is there anything else?
I mean, and if you want to get into that, they are moving a little bit more so into the motorized latch retraction from what they had before.
And that's that, like a kit.
This kit right here, and this is actually one that you can get that you can put into
an existing
exit device to be able to retrofit. Like I said, they're kind of moving away from the solenoid driven. They're going to motorized, which is really great. And
which it has what we call a worm gear here, and this has a very low amperage, inrush to allow it to pull that mechanism back. So these are great for retrofit applications. So if you already have door hardware existing that you want to electrify, this might be a solution for you.
Sure.
Anything else we need to cover, Austin?
I think that covers just about most of your most commonly seen electrified door hardware. Now, it's changing every day. There's new products coming out, but this is what we felt like was going to be the most common that you're going to see.
Yeah. Well, just make sure when you're choosing your access control system that you choose your proper door hardware, and don't be afraid to ask your vendor for, ask them some hard questions if you need to, and a little bit better explanation, because it will benefit you in the long run. And remember this, that cheaper is not always better, because if you have a 10-door access control system and you throw 10 Maglocks on, and then your building runs out of power for several days, we are in the Panhandle of Florida, and that can happen anytime with a hurricane. Your building's going to be vulnerable. So make sure you choose the right door hardware up front. Might cost you a little bit more money up front, but in the long run, it's going to pay off.
For sure.
All right, Austin, you got anything else?
I think that's it.
Well, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.